Earlier today, I had a beautiful conversation with Angelo Clemente, the founder and channeler of the Creators Game. I met Angelo 7 years ago in Italy during a rainbow gathering, and I was completely blown away in amazement by the work that he's doing and the workshops that he hosts. It really goes into collective consciousness clearing, past lives, entity works, even beyond that. Finding out more as I travel further with Angelo on his spaceship. And yeah, the potential for finding personal freedom and stepping into power is ginormous with his work. He developed this workshop called the Universal Soul Constellation, which is something that he now is making an online course about. And I participated in the first creative gathering of the online course creation. And Angelo is now continuing to develop the online course and bringing down all these 30 years of experience to pass it on, which is his big mission here on Earth. And I'm super grateful to have met Angelo, and it completely changed a few things in my life. Yeah, I'm now also offering this one-on-one constellations as a tool, and I'm working towards stepping into leadership, which is a large process which will be tackled very properly during the online course. Is this the leadership module and stepping over all the projections onto leadership. So yeah, for me personally, it's been such a gift and such a rich journey, eating my own shadow multiple times and being mirrored back things to work on, and at the same time receiving so much love and acceptance and presence from the group. Angelo is a very special space holder. He has a long history with theater and as a taxi driver and being a very humorous person. So yeah, without further ado, here is Angelo Clemente. Here we are.
Hello, Margot. I'm happy to make this podcast with you. Thank you to invite me in your channel.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you here.
Okay, it's a long path with this Creators Game, 30 years of experience. Then I would like, then I want to bring in an online course. So for me, it was long time not to wait, but I was patient when this day will come where I could put this method and send it to the big, large public. So thank you for helping me in this method.
It's a real honor. I remember stumbling into your work for the first time about 7 years ago. It was at a rainbow gathering in Italy. And I was so intrigued from the beginning what is going on in this white dome with the leopard print carpet. It's been like a really interesting journey to stumble upon your work, and I feel it's really beautiful that you're finally sharing it with the bigger public. Maybe we should try to explain a little bit about
so when you
what
say
exactly it is. Even it's a very large module. After I've spent all this time with you, it's still difficult for me to explain it to people.
For me, it's also difficult because I tried to explain it since 15 years. And what happened in domes when I play the game with so many people is also an adventure for me, because it's allowing to bring everything that humans are and expressing it. And for me is also a discovering, because I do this workshop for others, but also for me. And when the people go to process, they bring me to a space, bring themselves to a kind of space that is always larger and larger, always bigger and bigger. And so my mind have a hard time to follow it, because on the beginning I was thinking it was just a kind of emotional release, how to express ourselves to be better, and step by step it's open to big spaces. Then my mind could not understand it, so it's take me a long time for understanding what the people explain in express in the processing. And so I try to make a kind of knowledge, something concrete, a kind of theory about it, a kind of how can we bring this method to be explained and to be used for other people. And this is why it took me so much time, because to have processing and a lot of enlightenment process it came something usual now. Past life has become usual. But when it came the aliens, when they came the bad entities, when it came this all these worlds, these dimensions, I was a little bit overwhelmed, and I needed to understand it a little bit better before to publish it, because it's so normal to find that crazy, and I was the first one to find that totally crazy. And how can we explain everything that happens in the game? So it was difficult for me during long time, and try to understand it. And for me to understand it, I needed to bring it in a matter, in writing down. But even better than this is making in each principle that I try to understand, make a map how these things work. And the first map that I had, it was a creators game board, and we can see behind this one is a little bit more complex. But the first one who came to me, it was board, then make the relation between the mind and the energy, and make peace between the feelings and the interpretations. And that is the base of the creators game. And through this, we begin to share. And who is teaching us is the energy, is the expression through processing. So the mind now can understand a little bit better what is energy, and we communicate through the energy, through this board. And who gonna replace the leader is the consciousness of the energy. This is why you need this board. Even if it's more 20 boards or 30 boards now to explain and to bring to the online course, the base one is to learn how to feel and to express, not through the mind, but put the mind on the service of the energy and feelings. This board helps us, and that's give us the autonomy being in a community.
Yeah. Your workshop opened my mind to places that I had no idea were possible to reach. And it's very difficult to believe on a rational level, but when you're there and you feel the energy and you see what's happening to people, there's this.
When we are all together and we apply the rules of the game, it's mean first all types of securities. Maybe I can put the board of security board.
So what's maybe useful for the audience to know is that Angello's work really touches upon depth of human experience. It also goes into past lives, collective consciousness. There's a lot of trauma from Inquisition time that is surfacing when people really dive in, and it's really, really powerful to access those parts of our humanity that are sometimes still very present in our behaviors today. So yeah, it really goes to some crazy places. And I guess you're gonna explain now about the Shield of Securities. I really like the Rule 5 crazy because you create a space where everything is sort of welcome in terms of energy and emotion. And in our culture, this is very special because we're living in a lot of social conditioning, a lot of repression. So to find a place where craziness is allowed is rule number 5. It really invites for very out of the ordinary experiences of freedom that I just keep being completely blown away by. So maybe you can explain a little bit, Angello, this securities that you have put in place to make sure that it's a safe environment, your workshop.
So more and more I make this game, more is freedom, more is fluent. But this freedom need to be allowed in the maximum of securities. And the securities we cannot go over, because to take consciousness, what's happened inside of us, who we are, we need to feel secure. And the first security that we need is, we can show you here, is the first one. The first one you can have here is the security, the physical security. Without physical security, how can we go to consciousness? Consciousness is when consciousness comes to us, is when you are in a space of safety and the mind can see a different point of view because they are not oppressed. We are not oppressed. You are not obliged. we don't have to, we are in full security. So this security is essential to work in consciousness. So first one is a physical, second sexual. Sexual is also physical, but is related a lot of psychology and many traumas. 85% of our traumas are related in a deep level with sexuality, financial, manipulation, craziness, energetical security, and judgment. Judgment is very important to know. Then judgment is the judgment that we give to ourselves because we are afraid to be judged by others. So we are a kind of everythingness. We are all possibilities, but we are limiting ourselves by the traumas that we have inside of us. And these traumas became a kind of habit. These traumas became a kind of reference for us. So for us to not reactivate these traumas, you want to be safe. And so we are afraid to be judged by others. And so we are limiting ourselves. So we replay again and again these limitations for not being hurt. So it's very important that the main limitation to give ourselves is to be afraid to be judged. So this is where the game turns, is a central point of, can I express myself without to be judged? And here in this game, you're learning that the people are judging all the time. We are judging because you have our own reference. So our judgments is come out with interpretations, with you cannot do that because I cannot do it. The only way for us to auto-regulate ourselves is to focus in what energy I create each time. For me to develop myself, I need to express what I feel, what I think, and I need to receive love. I need to have this cocktail to learn who I am.
I like this rule number five, and I have here like from the notes. Sometimes during a deep process, people may feel they're losing touch with reality. They might have visions of past lives or strange, surreal experiences. It's important to express these without the fear of being judged as crazy. This openness allows us to move beyond the fear of the unknown and access deeper levels of consciousness. And that is really the space that you create, a place where this is invited. You can do things that are completely judged and unwelcome in most situations and not be labeled as crazy, or just embrace everything that is coming up.
The people anyway, they will judge it crazy. But we are putting rules in the game, then you can express yourself if you are aware what energy you create. Because whatever we believe then is crazy, we cannot change it. But we can have the consciousness, then when I say that another person is crazy, what energy I put on it. And if it's energy of judgment, it's mean sadness, resentment, or anger, this judgment is mine. It cannot be real because I am under the power of my system of defense. I'm afraid and I'm reacting. So the consciousness of the energy tell us then we need to look inside of ourselves when we judge other people crazy. So in the game, we are focusing always about this pendulum of consciousness is the energy. We believe in what we think when we are in love energy. Otherwise, is a system of defense that is controlling us to try to avoid the conflict. The system of defense try always to prove that it's you the problem, it's not me. So like this, I don't go to open this deep wound that I have inside. The problem can be resolved very quick because my system of defense says, you are crazy, I need to avoid you. I need to attack you. I need to run away. Okay? So if we are running away from our emotions, it's much quicker. You don't have to resolve it deeply. But the conflict comes again and again and again. And the system of belief stays the same. And if you follow what we feel, and we are in a safe space, and we can see where it's come from. And many times in this workshop, we go to past lives. And it's totally crazy. Why to bring always to past lives? because most of deep conflicts are in past lives. Even if you had problems with my parents or our parents, even if you have problems with our parents, it's a kind of reproduction from very long time ago. We choose our parents to revival our traumas, to get liberated from these situations that we're carrying in our soul.
Yeah, I think that already brings us to the art of processing, which you drew out in a very interesting way, which starts with the mask, people wearing a mask, and then it's shame. Coming to your workshop is really doing a lot of work in the self, really a confrontation with ourselves. And at the same time, there is this opportunity to help others with our psychic skills, to help them to open up, to mirror each other what is like stuck within or what emotions are still unprocessed. That it always comes back to this some original wounds in this life or often in past lives. And if we look at the history of our humanity, it just makes so much sense that there is a lot of unprocessed things. And yeah, it's you offer a place where these unprocessed things from deep past can be welcomed and can be processed.
I believe then we are 99.99% our past lives. How far we go in the past? When was our soul created? I think it's go behind imagination who we are. So in going, why we go in past lives so quick, so easily, is you as a participant receive an energy of somebody that made the work already. You feel a kind of very deep compassion and the person surround her to herself, because it's a kind of from unconscious to unconscious connections between the participant and the person who is helping. And we are in a kind of quantic world where we want to help each other. All of us want to help each other. And we want also to help other people to find their own conflicts. And if a participant is in front of somebody who resolved a lot of conflicts, is no more resistance, is melting to himself, and he can go to the where is a trauma, where is there a conflict. And so everything begin to come up, and very, very quick. And is very strange because I played the game maybe 800 times, and it's always different. And I cannot understand how it's still so pleasant to play this game. Why is it not boring? I believe strongly, and this game is still a kind of research, because I also work on myself in this game, because who is a teacher here is the energy, is the processing, is a method, and we all go inside of this method. The only advantage that I have about other people, I know a little bit more the rules, but I want to transfer this knowledge to other people so we can be all equal in this processing.
Yeah, it's really interesting to the fear, like to express, like on the board of energy where you have the different kinds of emotions like resentment, anger, sadness, and love. I noticed like many times when people come to the game for the first time, there is a lot of fear to express emotion because there's so much attached to it. There's so much non-allowance to be in expressing anger, for example, or expressing sadness. And it often, when people are finally expressing it, it triggers the rest of the group. It's really interesting to meet people that have been playing the game for some time and to see that they're not afraid of these deep emotions, and they're not afraid to look at it, and to be with someone that is holding space, that is not afraid anymore of these depths. It offers this invitation to unlock and to go within.
For the humans, for the people to learn how to open. And when they know, then if somebody judge them, is their own judgment from the other person. If you judge me, is your own judgment. So is your is your projection. Projection is what you believe that I am. I am the screen from your projection. I am the white screen from what you project on me. When you have this knowledge, and we say we can hold space for all of us. Okay? And if you are two persons, like in a couple, they can do creators game, because it's not a coaching, is not I'm gonna give you advice, my love. My love, I'm gonna give you advice to go in these directions. What I can say is close your eyes and you're gonna discover by yourself. And just in going back in a time, you understand everything. If you just stay in this lifetime, it's impossible to have all the solutions and the deep consciousness. And when the people go to past life, for example, here they have a hard time with authority. And if they go to past life, they understand why they choose these parents. And in the past life, there was also suffering. There was a kind of victim. And sometimes we have victims that had a really hard time with authorities, and there was abuse sexually. It was abuse of power. And sometimes they are suffering so much. And I say, now you are in this life, past life. Now go to the previous past life of this past life. And after they see how much there was abuser of these women. And sometimes they cannot even forgive themselves to be this bad man, because in this lifetime here are a woman. So in looking the law of the karma, I've been killed because I was killing, is not a judgment, is not a punishment, is a path of the soul to understand how this creation is made. So the processing, we need to be the gamer and the game at the same time. So we need to not control the process, to leave it inside. So we need to put ourselves in a space where you don't want to go nowhere, and a place where you don't want to resolve anything. Because if you do it, you are in a mental way. So in being in this space where you are in the no space, you are able to receive teachings. The illusion of to be powerful is just an illusion. And to be, when you are feeling weak, is also an illusion, because when you are in the weakness, is there where you bring consciousness to ourselves and you grow up again. So this processing is the main part of this creators game. And the creators game board is to help the people to understand that they are creating everything, and for them to allow themselves to close their eyes and to go to process. All these tools is just for the mind to understand. Then it's good for them to listen their own emotions and to receive love, to go inside of this process. And why I speak about love. Love is an energy that is 2 times 360 degrees, horizontal and vertical. Then it's make a ball. Then when you send this energy of loving to the person, it's allow the person to go to all directions that she need to go to discover themselves. So the helper is just there to hold space and allowing, and to hold space on a physical level because the person who is in the process close his eyes and express everything that comes. So we are there to hold space.
I spent some time with you in Portugal to work on the online course. And really what it turned out to be was some sort of freedom and leadership training camp. And then came up all of the things that are standing in between us and being free energetically. What was really interesting was these projections, the projections onto, in order to become a leader, we have to first face all of these projections that we have on authority figures in our own lives, like our parents, the government, God. Yeah, it was really interesting to understand all of these inner victim strategies that were, first of all, holding me back from stepping into any power at all.
So this game is essentially a community and a leadership, is both at the same time. The leader can change during the game. The leader must be always in love energy. So if the participants estimate that the leader is not in love energy, they can ask to estimate the energy of the leader. And so everybody at the same time, with the sticks of the game, they express themselves what they think about this leader, what they feel. And we have, you can see here, you have a green sticks and the pink sticks. And the pink sticks, I estimate the energy of the leader or somebody else. And the green is I create my energy. So we are permanently focusing in what I create, what I receive. And when you was in Portugal, it was an online course project and many online projects. But most of the time you was in a community working together because we are in the beginning of this online course. And so we have many tools to learn all together. And so we spend most of time in a community. And after 3 days, we had to put the rules of creators game in a community and for us to learn how to swallow our projections and to allow ourselves to go through process when we are projecting in other persons. And why you needed to impose this, it was imposing, but in a way it was a proposition. But we had to do this because we have one capacity inside of humans is to feel. Everybody know is to feel. But what the most people don't know is what they feel is maybe an emotion of somebody else. And if you feel the energy of somebody else, the mind is a slave of what we feel. So we are defending straight away the point of view of the complainer, and we are attacking the pretending creative or the pretending leader or the pretending person who just spoke about an idea. So the creative is permanently attacked by the group because one person is complaining. So this is why we need to bring this consciousness of the energy and to not be trapped. We are not creating always what we're feeling. And that's the main importance on this game. I give you an example. If somebody project on a creative is a person who make an action. Okay, for example, I put here. Here you have the creative. You see in the dial one on the top right side, you have A, the creative, is speak to B, is a listener. And if somebody is C, the thrach, savior, want to resolve a conflict and he create himself, it means somebody who want to defend the pretending victim, and he attacks always the creative. The creative can be the leader or a participant and expose an idea or an action. So usually the group feels so bad because they are still basic on the beginning and they are in resentment because in our system, we are defending always the dominant animal because you are afraid about this dominant animal. The dominant animal is in anger. So unconsciously, we submitted to him and we begin to blame the creative because is when the creative brought this idea, then the mess installed. So, but what's happened? If the E is authority, you can see it in a little bit anger up in upstairs in the upper. You can see it in upper side of the board. And the authority arrive and say, okay, I'm authority. What I do as an authority, I put rules and I protect. I put a new rule. So from now on, A, don't tell that anymore because you see the mess that is going around. But if the authority comes and say, don't do that anymore, everybody feels safe. A feel a little bit sad because he is repressed. But everybody else feels safe. So our society work like this, putting rules and is killing freedom. This authority put a pro-rule free key. Pro-rule free key. Protection, rule, freedom, killer. And if you don't go to process, it means if F is an independent person and is in love energy and is not trapped about this mess, energetical mess, and he need to come and to make work one person. Is the person who create this energy. Is C who pretend defending B, but he don't ask B how it is. So if you are not aware about these strategies inside of us, we are killing freedom all the time. So this is why you need to be aware who is creating this energy, who is reacting. So you need to take all sticks at the same time and share what we create emotionally, not what you believe, But what you believe is directly connected to what you think you're feeling. Understand? So thinking and feeling is very important. So as soon as you get this consciousness, then we are feelers. But feelers can create energy or they can receive. And it's very important to know if I'm receiving energy of anger, I'm not angry. I'm not creating anger. I feel it by the waving in. I wave vibration in, vibrate in. So you say wave in because you use so many times wave out, wave in. Wave out is what I create, and I am 100% responsible. The principle of this game is to be 100% responsible. So you don't lose time with negotiations. In a conflict between two persons is always two conflicts. Otherwise, if one person is not reacting, is no conflict. It's just a liberation to wait. It's a CWH, CWH, consciousness waiting to happen. But if both are out of love, you have two conflicts. So you need to decide who is going to go first to love, to hold space for the other person. And it's a process who's going to resolve the situation. Let's go deep inside with the security of the game. And this is why you need to accept first the security of the rules. It means each one have a stop to each other's because security first. And second, respect. Respect, it means is the person who receive the energy then have the power to stop the other person. Is not the person who have an emotion and say, I have something to express. It's my birthright to put it out. No, because you need the cocktail. You can put it out if you receive love, because if you don't receive love, you don't have this cocktail of transformation. You can put your shit out, but you're not going to go very deep because you're not going to feel safe. So you need to install these rules. And when you know these rules, all the group at the same time can go in process. And why, when you come to Creators Game, you are a beginner, you feel like that's a mess. If you are a normal therapist, you feel like, that is dangerous, that's impossible, that's because it's not fit to what you learn in your way of practicing. But when we learn these rules, step by step, you're going to see that this mess is very well organized and secure.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me some time to really understand it. I love this idea of everyone being responsible and this rule that you put over the last few years, I think, of number 5, where everyone in the group is holding responsibility together for their own safety and the safety of everyone. So at any time you can stand up and become a number 5 and speak your truth about a certain situation that happened that makes you feel in fear or in insecurity, and then check whether that is actually something that is from you to look at. So you can do a victim check. Once I understood this number 5, I felt, okay, this is giving enough safety for me to, and everyone, it's not only about trusting a leader, but it's about trusting everyone in the room.
Yes, so we are speaking about the Universal Soul Constellation. The Universal Constellation is one of the last boards that I created because I tried to understand something that happened 2 years ago in France. And usually we have in a full weekend 1 or 2 times where all the group go in a kind of enlightenment process. Everybody go in a kind of expansion of consciousness, liberation. You have 1 or 2. And in France, it's happened. It was around 30 people. And it was during the full weekend. It's mean Friday night until Sunday night. We had 12 group process, enlightenment process all together. And I say, wow, how it was. And it took me 2 years to understand what's happened there. And so I put this in a visual. Then it's become today the Universal Soul Constellation. Because when we are opening ourselves, we become another you. You become the other person because you are vibrating so much what the other person is resonating and what the other person is sending. Then you are resonating with the person and you begin to feel what she's feeling inside. You begin to think what she's thinking, and you're gonna be a kind of screen of projection, but in this time, we are not a kind of victims of it, because you feel it at the same time. We have installed so much the securities that now we can embrace the other person inside of us, and we become in the center, and you begin to say the insights we have. So in this universal soul constellation, we gonna express something is not from us. So the code we say, I have an insight. And why everybody find a place in this universal soul constellation is one who come to the center because you have something to resolve. We have the person number 2 who has an insight, who comes to help the person number 1. And then group number 4 is the group sending love to the person number 1 because he's not reacting. And the number 2 is helping the number 1 by saying the insight. And if the person number 1 feel resonate, and if the person number 1 feel a kind of truth from what the person number 2 says, he go in a process. Number 2 helps the person to go deeper in a process, and later he begin to have a common processing together. It's a kind of fusional processing. And these liberations of energy begin to shake people in the number 4 who are sit down. And in these moments, these people who are number 4, they are invited to ask also for a process to liberate at the same time is their own process. So all people begin to share, and is so many emotions, so many liberations at the same time, but also a lot of structure that help everybody to express themselves at the same time. And is also very important to keep in mind in all this processing. Then we need to feel secure with all these 15 or 16, 17 securities, then is in a shield of securities. The person number 5 it can be anybody in a group. This person number 5 stand up and say, here is something that is not secure. I'm afraid. Is not secure is an interpretation of I'm feeling afraid. I'm afraid for me, or I'm afraid for the group. So this person have a priority to stand up and to protect the group. And this person can also say something here is not respectful. So this person have a priority. So everybody have this role and duty to protect the group. And so we're going to help this number 5 to express. Stand up. What energy you create right now? What is your event? What's happened? Do you speak for you or for the group? If you speak for the group, make a victim check to be sure. And if the person, then you pretend not be secure or not be respected, she say, I'm fine. And if the rest of the group say, oh, the person apparently is fine. So it's bring the person number 5 to his own responsibility. Maybe something from you. Do you need a process? So the person number 5 is invited to go and to ask a sharing with somebody that is still in love in number 4. It's mean the person who is in a group. So all this structure make autonomy altogether. And we can judge that and is not secure, is not afraid. That's a kind of judgment that you have usually about it, because you cannot see that anywhere in the world. And it's normal to that. But everybody's securing stuff. And why you use this method? Because I believe very, very strongly is one thing than just change, is action. We can understand everything. You can understand everything about creativity. You can understand everything about spirituality. But if you're not acting, nothing changes. And so in this group, in a universal soul constellation, everybody's active at the same time, because it's the only thing that change. Active because you are sharing our emotions, and active because you are helping somebody. And in helping in creator's game is over the mental, is also a kind of fusion between two persons. And if the person you are helping is blocked, it means we are also blocked in some ways. So it's also giving us a possibility to look inside of ourselves. So, and we are discovering the helped person and the helpers. Everybody work at the same time for consciousness. And this make a constellation, and we, after this constellation, we go back to the sharing time where we try to understand what was happening, and we bring power back to the mental, to the analyzing systems, and to understand and how we can integrate that in our everyday life, because integration and transformation is 20 steps from the mask until you are good again with the creative, and your love is creative. Love is energy. Love is permission. Love is understanding. And you need to separate love from the sex. Sex is something physical, and love is something energetical. And it is very important to reappropriate the word love and disconnect from sex. Love is in our heart, even if many people you just can have love when they are making sex. It's very important to step by step to put everything in its right position to work on it.
Yeah, it's crazy with groups coming together, how much love there is when the others are just being present in love vibration. It really gives this platform to open up. I have written down a few things here that could be actually from your course book about the number twos, because there's this like I noticed like going through the more and more processing this like side by side evolution of me doing personal processing, being helped by the group, becoming more free, and at the same time really opening these psychic abilities almost to be this number two. It is such a rewarding experience to be able to fusion with someone and to have these insights.
So
maybe I can read a few lines that I took from your
Yep.
course book of your online course.
Yeah.
Everyone has the ability to be a clear feeler, meaning you can feel the emotions of others inside of you. But if you're unaware, your mind might confuse these feelings as your own, leading you to act based on someone else's emotions. This is why it's important to distinguish between what is within and what is external. So this is the waving in, waving out. It's interesting to see how this awareness grows, coming into a space and feeling some kind of tension in my belly. And am I creating this tension, or is it somebody else who is feeling this? And is because my ability to be clear sentient is heightened, that I can feel so much the things of others. So that was very interesting discovery. We can also transmit body sensations to others. For instance, if I experience knee pain and send this energy to someone else, that person might receive it. This is called body waving in. The other person may feel the same physical sensation that originated in me. It's crucial to determine whether a sensation or emotion belongs to you or someone else to avoid confusion. And then this one I really like about the number twos is additionally there is subtle waving in, which involves perceiving something on a deeper level, such as someone's aura, soul, or even past life. You might have an insider intuition feeling about someone else that doesn't seem to belong to you. This is subtle energy, and while you may not always know if it's accurate, it's important to share it respectfully and with caution. As we develop our abilities, like clairvoyance or clairfeeling, we need to practice and learn how to use these gifts responsibly. With time, these insights become more accurate and our brains become more adept at recognizing these subtle energies. However, it's essential to stay grounded and remember that we are responsible for the energy we send out and the impact it has on others. We must also avoid becoming victims of others' projections. For instance, if someone has trauma from their past, they might unconsciously project this onto someone else. And the receiving person may feel that energy without realizing it. So yeah, having spent more time with you is so interesting for me to develop this. And it went side by side, doing my personal processing, opening up more, and then being able to feel for someone else. But really tune in and harness these skills of feeling and sensing. And the creator's game is a place where this high sensitive skills, these psychic skills are very useful. And it's maybe the first place that I personally discovered where outside of doing bodywork sessions, of course, where these skills are really valuable.
That's a gift that we are developing. Is strongly believed that you have everything inside, and we are everything, and we are connecting to everything and everybody. What's limiting us is the fear of to expressing it, and the sensitivity, the connections is the base of it. So we need to share, we need to express it, these possibilities. And this is why in a universal soul constellation we allow the people to say the insights. And what is really strange is most of the time they are right. But we need to express it and see the resonance in the other person, and have to begin to believe it. And more you believe it, more you're going to see the difference when maybe I project. Maybe I see something in you, but it's from me. And the difference is I am in my issue. But when I clean my issue, I can see clearly inside of the other person, and I can help. And so when the person number 2 comes and say, I have an insight, it's a place where I can say what I perceive. My intention is to help. It's not mean that I'm right, but it's what I perceive. So can I share? So the person number 2 come in the center, not in the number 1, but around the number 1 is 2. And I say, each number 2 say, I have an insight. It's mean I'm not defending a point of view. I'm not saying I'm sure about myself, but maybe it's true. And who gonna tell me then it's true is number 1. If you resonate with it and you continue the story, and if you go to past life and you tell a half-hour story about it, how can I manipulate you if I am a number 2? But if a number 2 succeeds, it's like, wow, I didn't know that I had these gifts, and it's really incredible. And these gifts we have is so many different types. It's like seeing the energy when the vision comes. We can see the energy. So for example, when I'm animating the group, if somebody is very afraid, I feel it. So I say, I feel it in my system. So who is really afraid? So the energy go down, and the energy auto-regulates the group. If somebody is very afraid, it's sucking the energy. So the process of all the group will stop after 2-3 minutes. But if I feel it very quick, I go directly to the person. Okay, where you feel then is dangerous, or where you not feel safe. So I help the person to respect themselves. So this creators game is to help everybody to be creators. But many people, and all of us, when we start, we have around 50,000 ways of to be a victim. But many people, and all of us, when we start, we have around 50,000 ways of to be a victim.
50,000, it increased.
Yeah, because my teacher in Canada a long time ago told me what separates me from you is 3,000 fears. And I said, wow, it's so much, I'm never gonna reach it. But we can be afraid about 50,000 fears. But in reality, the fear is one little thing. It's not a big fear, because if you see the enlightenment is a kind of ball, for example, it's a kind of sun, it's shining. And if you look really near of the sun of enlightenment, is many, many spots. And these spots is all the fears that you go through. Each time you go over a fear, then it's represented by darkness. Darkness is where you don't want to see anything, so you put darkness around some consciousness. And if you go to freedom, the energy is shining. So this little spot go to your sun. And the life is based on many, many thousand little spots. And so is this little spot and make you all enlightenment. So if you are searching for a big, big thing, you're never gonna reach it, because it's a continuation of many thousand little things. The only fear that is make a big, big step is when you are not afraid anymore about to die. But that is frightening, yeah? But if you believe then you have a soul, how much percentage are you sure then you have a soul? If you are 100%, it means you are eternal, guy. But there, until to realize in everyday life, it's take a long time, because until you change your idea, and now you believe, 90% is already good. If you believe then you are eternal and you have a soul, you believe it now, but during a long time you didn't believe it. So you still have all these patterns, all these habits, all these attitudes, then still based on this fear of dying. So they need to be looked one by one. And so this is why each time we speak in front of somebody, we go on a freedom point. For example, here I'm speaking in front of maybe possibly 7 billion people. Somebody's reacting already because
Millions of
pretentious,
people.
yeah. But I'm in front of so many possible reactions. Do I am ready to confront all that? So this is why I say to the people who are looking this podcast, continue if you feel good, if you resonate. But if you create anger or resentment, what are you going to do with it? You want to change the pixels on your camera, on your TV? Or is the pixels, is the voice, is this guy? I need to hate him, I need to destroy him because he can damage humanity. What is you're playing inside of yourself to create so much anger inside of you? Are you ready to close your eyes and to see it? It's not easy to do that in front of your camera. But if you are learn to do with some people, one day you're going to succeed to do it through meditation, through introspection. And we are learning all together in doing this path. And now is the time to, with all this structure, to bring it in an online course, to bring this to the public and to help people to be leaders of this game. And the leader is not the final thing. Consciously you don't know, but unconsciously you know everything and you're connected to everything. And in reality, I believe more and more than we are a kind of mirror ball with many facets. And each point of view is true in a certain frequency. If you change frequency, you're going to see this point of view totally different. So whatever you live in these workshops, you're going to have a different point of view afterwards, because you're going to be influenced by other energies when you express what happened with you in these workshops. So you need to learn the base of why our mind is shifting all the time, depending the energy you are surrounded and what energy I absorb from other people. This is why we have these boards here also to be conscious, and it's helped us to understand that in reality you work more than 100% responsibility, 600% responsibility, and our energy, so yeah, our system of belief change all the time. And so we're going to learn how to embrace this life.
These 50,000 victim strategies. Basically, it feels like little excuses not to be free or not to be responsible. And that's what I like so much about your course, is this invitation, this constant invitation to be completely responsible, to figure out what is it that I'm creating, and also really working with triggers. If we are touched by something and we're creating some sort of emotion on the board or energy on the board around that, to this constant invitation to look within instead of blaming the outside or projecting onto others, taking full responsibility for everything that we are creating in these triggering situations. I see that you put up the victim board, the victim strategies. In my personal exploration with you, I was very confronted from the beginning. It was very unusual and it was very unpleasant. But it made me also extremely intrigued. There was this invitation to take responsibility and to look at things that I wasn't even aware that I was necessarily sending out.
We are not conscious from our problems. Otherwise, they would already be resolved. Most of them we are not aware. So this is why we need the community. We need the other person to tell us the most loving way as possible. So this is why you need to introduce, can I tell you something? Then it can touch you. You understand? So you need to prepare the other person for that. Okay? You cannot do that all the time, but we are learning the method how to make it the most soft way as possible and the most loving way as possible.
And I guess that's why your work for many people seems so incredibly controversial, because you've basically developed yourself to holding many keys that can potentially open many people. But often the key to open someone is to push inside what is triggering them.
The word pushing, I was named the pusher Angelo. And so I changed this way of doing it. So this is why now today I really have permission, and I will tell even what could be affecting the person. Otherwise the person will not feel safe anymore. It's like what I'm gonna discover from myself. And until one moment is so soft, so cute, then the people begin to see the benefits of digging the shit, because behind the shit is a light, is the openness, is our gifts then coming back, and is our freedom. And we are not slave anymore from ourselves and from our fears. But this need to be in a real good content of respect. Respect is a big thing. Then, and who determine what is respectful is a person who receive the information. So we need, sometimes I say something that is true, but the person was not prepared. So I say, sorry, apologize, and I will try to change that for next time. So I close my eyes and I reprogram myself for next time. And if it's an emotion, I'm gonna go in process and see where is a kind of shitty Alberto inside. Angello is when I am in love energy. Alberto is my incarnation name, is in when I am in some pattern or some problematics. And who tells me this is energy. And sometimes I'm not aware. And you need to know that I'm not perfect. Otherwise, I will not be here anymore.
Yeah, it's basically an invitation to eat one's own shadow.
Yeah.
To come to the game is to eat, the invitation to eat your shadow. And if you're ready to work, you can receive a lot of mirroring from the others of things to potentially work on.
Yeah. And sometimes also people, they know that they are in a safety mode. I not tell them anything almost in a full weekend. They just speak with me during the breaks, and I say, I know, guy, you are in a safety mode and you are so much afraid to be manipulated, and you see so many things in these workshops. You know, I can understand you. And me, the first time I was in this kind of workshop, then it was 10, 20 times more pretendly safe. I wanted to run away during 1 week, you know? And here you see emotional, you're going to see what happened during your childhood, you're going to see what is in the belly of your mom, what you did in past life, when you was good, when you was bad. You go to different dimensions, you go to aliens, entities. Sexuality is all in one workshop, what is become Creator's Game today. And because it's all in one, then everybody can find his own way. Objective of the Creator's Game is to transfer the tools for people to become leader, and leader finally from their own method, to find who they are.
After all these 30 years, you must have received so many projections as a
the most
leader.
projected guy in the world.
Yeah, it is such a deep area of work that it is for many people kind of controversial.
Yeah.
And they are afraid, so they're not ready to look at that. Many people are not potentially not ready, so then they are projecting, or they're stuck in an emotion like anger or fear.
Yeah.
Like, I love how you say that you're also not perfect, and when as a leader you're not perfect, you receive so much more shit.
It's a national sport to shit on a leader.
Yeah, that's why I would recommend people to take your courses, because there's a large module around this leadership. Maybe I can read a few sentences from your course book again about leadership. In this training, we delve into our emotions and explore the concept of leadership, which can be daunting. Past leaders often faced severe consequences, such as leading in wars or being persecuted for awakening others. I carry a sense of guilt from those experiences, but today's environment is different. People are not killed for their awareness. One of the things you mentioned that resonate with me is the importance of exploring where the pain of being a leader comes from within me, which creates this anxiety about being in a leadership position. The first step is a personal process around the emotions and fears I have regarding leadership. If you haven't made peace with your father or mother, who represent authority figures, it can affect your ability to embrace leadership. For example, people who had very difficult relationships with their fathers, who traditionally symbolize authority, may develop a deep resentment towards rules, authority, structure, and theories. Before they start working on themselves, they may harbor a lot of anger towards these concepts. But when they become leaders, they embody authority themselves. This inner conflict makes them project their unresolved feelings about external authority onto their leadership role, causing anxiety and paralysis. This is why some people resist leadership. They still harbor resentment towards authority figures. To become an effective leader, you need to make peace with rules, authority, and any limitations you associate with them. Recognizing that authority isn't always perfect, you can forgive those figures, which helps you develop a softer, more balanced leadership style. Yeah, it's crazy. It's becoming more and more clear that the issues I have with authority is also, these projections are also the thing that's holding myself back from stepping into that role, because I will receive all those projections from myself. And it's really scary to receive those projections from others.
The leadership figure is the most important because is a long step for us to be the leader first from ourselves, the leader from our lives. And to be a leader, it starts with a decision. I take a decision and I become to be a leader when I put this decision in practice. Because there I'm going to be confronted with the reaction of other people, the blame, the judgment. But if I don't step for what I believe, so how can I live my life here? And in Creators Game is community and leadership, and each one experiment to be a leader in a game, and we help the person to go until the end of the possibility of to be a leader. It's mean to rule a group. And what's happened on beginning, for example, people who are fighting against authority, they are fighting against the rules, the teachers, the government, and finally God. And sometimes there are people very strongly attacking me, and I say, okay, perfect. You have 10 minutes and you're going to be the leader of the group. And what's happened? They paralyze themselves because they become the projection from their own. What they project on the leader, they're going to project on themselves when they're going to be in the position of a leader. So when we criticize somebody outside, we are criticizing us, and we are not allowing ourselves to do it because something in the past happened and it was wrong. So you need to know why you are fighting against this possibility to be a creative. A leader is a creative. And in a game, we allow the leader to go until the end of his own expression, or proposing a workshop, or proposing a sentence, or proposing an action. And until one day, you're going to propose to other people what you believe. So you're going to go more than a leader, more than a teacher, more than a guru. You're going to teach what you integrate and what you believe, in saying, okay, is what I believe. And many people are going to hate me for that. But please, can you tolerate the difference? And maybe people who have the same idea than me, join me and let's make a community where you are all equal. So, and you can experiment your own method. And I believe, then I'm a believer, I don't know if I believe in these three letters, God, or what is God. I don't know. I believe in something, but I don't know what I'm believing it. But in going through this processing, I discovered so much more things than I could imagine 30 years ago. And is more than to believe, is to experimenting and to feel it. And when I help other people in processing and in a group, we can feel this inside. So that's a good part of the feelings, and in a wave in receiving the energy, and you are living the life of other people at the same time. And it was really, really magic and fantastic. But to achieve this is thousand and thousand projections to go over. So this is why you need also to look our systems of belief, how much our system of belief limiting us. Because each trauma we had, we adapt a kind of system of belief to adapt to our kind of slavery, or is a kind of adaptation, you know. A kid who have a very, very bad parents, they need to adapt to it. So he take decisions then is in a kind of slavery method, because it's better to accept things than to still fighting all the time. So you have many parts inside of ourselves that take decisions. And so now is the time to look to it, and knowing then our soul will teach us, our energies. And when you go to processing, I don't know who is leading this process, but is magic and see so many things that we cannot imagine. So let's discover all together, and safety and respect and autonomy then is the objective of this game. The online course will make a group dynamic, and to make it even more and more safe in making the different steps of it.
Yeah. I love how with this course there's so much material that just keeps over these 30 years, that just then you realize we need this, we need that. It's like you're being visited by
is
a
many
guide,
tools,
right, to write this course.
Is many tools. For example, this tool of freedom is very easy one. If you want freedom, your fear, look your fear. If you want freedom, look what kind of fear you're holding you back, and find a fear, create an exercise, and come to the center. So it's so easy as that. And we can do already a lot of work with that. But all these tools is to experiment consciousness and freedom and love in many, many different aspects of our lives. Because when you are in a metro, in a business company, we cannot act the same way as we are when you are in a creator's game. Because creator's game, you don't want to be a kind of bubble workshop, because you want to have the spirituality outside. What is outside spirituality? Is in the communication to each other. There is where you're going to reach this spirituality. It's not to create another bubble workshop where the guru, the teacher, protect you so much and you can live this incredible experience. The objective is for you to step by step to learn how to get out of your victim strategies and to protect yourself, and to learn the method to continue to go to enlightenment in everyday life. Okay? So the tool of perceiving the energies will tell you where are the person that you are meeting just right now in the street, in reading his energy, and maybe reading the mind, and maybe in seeing his past life all at the same time. You can be free in choosing the real interaction with this person. You can feel everything. So I believe if God exists, He gives all these type of tools to be free here in this 3D, and from this center of 3D visit other dimensions, 4, 5, until I heard about 12 dimensions. It's going to be crazy when you're going to make the map of the dimensions. And so we need to go further, and it's a kind of eternal path. And Creator's Game is a kind of learning how to be a God one day, full consciousness, to get out of all these limitations. I believe then the goal we are doing with this Creator's Game is to go to enlightenment, but it is not even the goal to go to enlightenment. Because I believe, that is my system of belief, and you are not here to believe it. To believe all the same thing, is you are here to love all of us in the difference of what we believe. And so what is important is the quality of energy in exchanging our ideas. And for me, I believe that what you are doing here on Earth is like a kind of huge game. And the game is how to have the maximum of pleasure in going to this path of enlightenment. Because enlightenment, you've already been before. in this past life, sometimes you was kind of three dimension. You came from not from the future, but from other planets was much more advanced. From other planets where they reach already the telepathy, everybody, all in this planet, in all these dimensions. So how can you reach that? It's just through frequencies. And we are on the beginning of a game. The lowest energy have the most impact on the people. And that's bring the people down. So you need to care about all these basic energies. And step by step, when one person have an enlightenment process, it brings this energy to everybody. And you can also experimenting it if your mind is not too blocked. But you are not here to change your system of belief. What you believe is your business, guys. Okay? You are here to respect and to play in a secure mode. Yeah.
Maybe we can explain a little bit what it can look like, the game. Like, for example, 7 years ago when I discovered you in Italy in the Rainbow, there seemed to be a lot of processes there around the Inquisition, and there was a few women I remember. It started with one, and then it was like quite a few of the group that had this memory of being burned as witches.
Well,
and there was this experience of deep sorrow and pain. There was a little bit of maybe victimhood in the beginning. Then once they were brought to this experience of being burned and the pain, and then after that, one of the women, like she really went, it was like she went through the fire and she had this experience of dying. And then there was this kind of orgasmic energy that started to, it was a lot of like screaming and pain. And then there's sort of pure love and surrender and orgasmic pleasure that started to fill the space. And it came out of her. She had gone all the way through the trauma, and then she had touched upon this sort of sacred enlightenment process. I kind of want to give a taste to the audience of what can potentially happen, and what I experienced. It like it affected the whole group. Like it affected even outside of the dome. It was like this pure bliss, and everyone was like, "Wow!" Like so much softness, wave of pleasure that like surged through the whole valley.
Yeah, that's when the woman, and I believe that we are all women. If you see lifetimes, you can be men here in this lifetime, but I believe you change gender each 6 incarnations, 5, 6 incarnations. So all of us been abused by power and deep inside of us. And when women in this lifetime feel enough secure to surrender and to express everything they feel, and they went to past lives like or abused sexually or killed by the Inquisition, and they can express it freely, and they are even supported to express it loud. When one starts of a person begin to resonate and liberate also, so all the group liberate, and when they are finished to liberate all these tensions, this anger, the energy change. The energy is blocked when you don't express it. But if you express and you receive love, the energy change, and it makes this process. And if finished a lot of times by this enlightenment process, where the energy, we go up to a kind of sky of heaven. And when you connect it there, you bring the heaven inside of us. And after we go begin to expand it. And that is a magical of the group processing, and is a big, huge healing consciousness, and go through a kind of energy then is unbelievable. And you just need to feel it, to be there, to believe it, because the mind will never believe it. And even after some months, the mind will not believe it anymore because it was so magic. And we can succeed to do this with a maximum of securities. I will bring all that. And in Italy, it was really huge. And it was really magic. And when this energy shines, it's affecting all the group, because there's no distance limitations about energy. If you really expand, all the group is around, it arise in energy. And even the earth is rising up. Once I was playing 27 days in Slovakia, And it was so many people the last week, then everybody wanted to process. They went to the same place. At the time, it was more 2 or 3 processes at the time. It was not so crazy as today. So they came to a center, and after 3 days, they just come to the center and they start the processing. I say, "Well, I'm not useful anymore." And until I understood, then if they do the process on Earth at the same place, the Earth is charged, and after it's become a portal of, and it was really crazy, beautiful. And the place is charging also, so you feel like normal to be there. And you just see the difference when you go out of this place. And after you begin to have a kind of compensation, then your analytical brain don't work anymore. And it's just a sensitive brain works, and sometimes it takes 1 week to come back to normal. But during this time of expansion of consciousness, we can perceive so many things, read the mind. We cannot lie to ourselves anymore in what we feel, and we see and you feel other people. And so it's a kind of time for loving the people where they are. And for me, I had a hard time after this when I reconnect to normal people. Until now, we find other methods also how to love normal people who don't want to wake up to themselves.
Yeah. I mean, the way I'm starting to see it is this, for example, working with these women who were having this wound of the witch wound, having been burned, or it's like clearing the collective consciousness grid, touching upon scars, ancient scars that are still present, opening them, taking out the pus by going through these things that are maybe a bit difficult to look at in the beginning, the pain and the anger and the hatred. And then at some point, after having expressed and felt all of that, there is this space for the love and the light, the pleasure to come through in this crazy, this is absolutely insane way. And it's like clearing of, I feel like it's doing work for not only ourselves, but also the collective energy grid, and making these light processes possible by facing our fears and our darknesses.
It's for the collective and also by the family. If you resolve conflicts inside of you, your family then is really very deeply connected through your cells, is a shift in the family. And they sometimes after processing, the people go back to the family or the work and they say, they don't act anymore the same way. They change. In reality, it's not they change. You change and you make them vibrate differently. So they have a different answer. It's you who change and you activate other parts inside of themselves. And more we work in ourselves, more we are shining, more the world around us change, but is an illusion. We are changing and we activate different parts of our world's environment. So in place to act as you do before, in doing, we are vibrating. So we are acting through the energy.
It resonates with what you were saying before as well, where when I spent those 2 weeks with you in Portugal, like at some point, I was so open that everything was just vibration and energy, and to then come back to the Babylon world, it demands like closing a little bit, or it's very interesting what happens when I live as open as possible and no longer being afraid of confrontation. It feels like my interactions in my life is completely changing. And it is also confrontational for some other people that are maybe not yet, have not yet gone through this process, so they don't really understand sometimes.
Yeah. If you share your freedom after these workshops, this meeting, this community time, you share your freedom to your friends, and systematically they will react. Because if you speak usefully, it's mean for helping them to open up the consciousness, they have inside of themselves a system of belief that justify for them to stay where they are. And you bring with a new consciousness, new openness. So you need to be ready to receive reactions, anger, resentment, and they will be afraid for you. in reality, they are afraid for themselves if they are following you or if they continue to listen to you. So you need to be aware, then you need to block yourself in a way, then that's their projections, their fears, their anxiety. And there you have no choice than to help them to go to themselves and to process. Otherwise, you're going to receive this energy, your brain will register this energy, and step by step, you're going to go down. So you need to care about to who you share that. And you don't have any choice than to help other people to wake up for themselves. Otherwise, you're going to be surrounded by limited persons. So this where you is important. How can I help other persons in the maximum of pleasure of doing it? It's not to save the humanity, but can I wake up my friend? Can I wake up my partner and give them the choice to wake up for themselves? So that's a question, and sometimes it's depressive for some people who see this world after. So it's also a kind of digestion from this consciousness. It's also this path. So we need to know then is a kind of eternal path. We learn something, and after you need to digest the people who are not following us is painful.
It's like some kind of dip afterwards, maybe coming back to reality and understanding that it is a very limiting the reality that we used to live in, and it can cause also confrontation with friends and family that don't understand why all of a sudden I'm no longer wearing certain masks that have maybe been appropriate, have seemed to be appropriate before. It seemed for me to have caused a few confrontations.
The confrontations happened usually when you make a first creators game and we don't know yet how to transmit this to other people. But step by step, you're going to see then the light, the energy of other people. You're going to feel the energy of other people. You know when is the right moment to say or not say things. And we develop also then to ask questions to the person mentally and to have the answer without saying any word. So we can check how much resistance the person have, how much density in his system of belief is not to manipulate them, but is to protect us from the people we pretend to save. So some people, and that is the path of the soul. If the soul already did this job, you say something and they will understand 10. And for other people, you need to explain 10 and they just understand 1. So that's the difference from 1 to 100. So you need to learn how to feel the energy and to not share freedoms and love for people who are going to send you reactions on you. So you need to know to who you're going to do this. And sometimes to be superficial is the best way to protect yourself. How to have fun to be superficial. Never forget that even the people are blocked, they have a soul inside. So it must be a key of helping them in a way, but respecting yourself also in doing this. It's a game.
This idea of like now that I have learned to open my processes, I constantly have triggers that I want to work with. You explain us this concept of Trinity Yoga, of cutting the string and making a mental note and putting it in a folder. Okay, so I get triggered with this authority figure, for example. She makes me feel abused, so there's something for me to look at. But I'm not going to, this is not the right setting for me to open up and express all the rage and hatreds and sadness that I'm experiencing around this person in this situation. And I'm more and more motivated to create a group here in Brussels where I'm now, because I have I've done so much Trinity yoga the last few weeks. I have like so much triggers are identified and I put them away. And I'm really excited for you to train more people so that we can have community places where we can come and process in this way. To also understand that it's not everywhere the right place to bring our openness or to work on ourselves. There's just not always full understanding or full love from the others that are present.
So Trinity Yoga comes in the middle of the game, because on the beginning I encourage people to express everything that comes, and more they expressing, more they become sensitive and powerful. But when they're gonna be confronted with the next conflicts, they just want to put it out. They just want, it's my birthright to put it out. And there we need to learn how to mastering our emotions, because we need to prepare the person that is in front of us to receive our shit. You understand? Mm-hmm. And so if you not have this cocktail of love in front, you're just going to make damage around. Because before you was handling ourselves, you was behaving because you was afraid. You was afraid of to be judged. You was a small energy. But if you connect to a past life where you was a kind of, let's say, a dragon or a big devilish entity or something, now you feel it. And the next time you're going to have a small conflict, if you bring this energy out, the other person will splashed away against the wall. So you need to mastering this. This is why is the person who receive your sharing who decide if it's right or not. Okay? So this is why Trinity Yoga helps you to mastering these energies. And the objective is, after mastering it, you put it aside. Maybe it's too difficult to come back to this emotion in a soul point of view. Soul is what you have inside. Spirit is like God's point of view. God's point of view is when the soul is fully in expansion, you're going to search what is the wisdom from why I was killed, why I was dead. You understand? We don't do this on the beginning, but very quick, because the persons need to believe in past life. They need to feel these emotions. So before they jump in 100% of in the processing, like they're living like they are burning in past life or killed or tortured, and it's difficult. Step by step, they will mastering. Do I live this process at 100%, or I just going to be an observer, number 1%, or I going to see it in the spirit point of view? But we need to be a little bit more advanced. But if you did a lot of Trinity Yoga and you didn't relieve the emotions, we need to go to process. And for that, you need a group around you. And the objective of the module number 3 is for you to organize creators game and to continue your path with it. At the same time, you help other people. In creators games, the leader is the one who learns the most because he practices what he believes is right. So is it a manipulation? Is it an influence? Is it an influence? Manipulation is if you say something, but you know then it's not for the benefits. So what's the difference between manipulation and influence is this. If you do something with somebody and you know that it's not their interest, there is manipulation. So the objective is to help each other, to share really the truth, what is going on, and everybody working. The leader is working as a participant through the method and the consciousness of the energy. So I'm gonna help you and all people of the online course to be a creators game helper. And before, in the module number 2, is how to bring people to process one-to-one, because the base of the groups is processing. So in module number 2, you learn the art of processing, all different ways of processing, how to do it. And the module number 1 is to learn the mental method, how it works, and making some exercises, and to learn different types of tools, like projections is very important to know. Then projections is the kind of habit. You know, if you organize a group, if you organizing, you are already leading something. It took me 10 years to put just 10 rules on the game. And it was very simple on the beginning. So you need to make a peace with your leadership, or what you're going to offer, and the projection. So you need to know then systematically the people will project on you.
Yeah, this I feel like your course is really well designed. Like this module 2, doing one-on-one processing, it's already such a gift that I'm using right now in my personal work with people. And then this module 3, it's already like a big package, because to become a leader of groups, to become a facilitator, we have to face all these projections, all these fears about leadership. And it's in terms of personal development, I think it's really like one of the best things that people can do is to take this course. So much consciousness and so much freedom points to be gained. I also love how in module 4, creating your own course or creating your own technique, that taking all this information that you've gathered over all these years and making your own thing out of it, because the projections, this kind of work is it's so sensitive that there is going to be people that don't like it, and there is going to be people that are afraid of it. So it's amazing if it comes through multiple people in different ways. And I love how you're really wanting to share that with people, like take this and make it your own. And I've seen you sharing this work over the last 7 years. Yeah, it's really beautiful, and I'm really happy that I got to. It completely changed my life to have become a part of this, and I feel so much more free, so much more responsible for my life. Yeah, so there's a beautiful opportunity that is only for the next 3-4 months possible, which is to connect with Angello and to go to Thailand, where he will be from January to April.
Yep.
Since you're still working on making this course online and to make a bunch of videos, to write, to put everything down, all the stuff you have found, and for that you need some help. So people that feel like I'm ready and I'm aligned, there's this beautiful opportunity to do an exchange with Angello now, is to go to Thailand and to learn with him, from him, to work on the online course, to make sure that this work can touch as many people as possible.
Yeah. And some people say, I don't have skills to make an online course. And I say, welcome, we are the same. And we are helping each other, and we are learning also how to do it. And this is why it's an exchange. So let's come work all together, learning the tools. And the objective is to have the maximum of pleasure, fun, security, respect. And that's a crazy, beautiful opportunity. Then you're going to have it in Thailand. You have already the first 2 venues rented. And the price then for the participants to pay is just to pay the place, the room. That's a big opportunity, because when the online course will be ready, maybe you can participate as already a facilitator in the groups, and also private sessions. If you are in a level 3, maybe you can teach people how to go to processing, and maybe you can already win money with it and become professional. The intention is to bring Creators Game as an alphabet of the energy for you to write the book of your life. And for the people who come to the Thailand, the exchange we have is having for them to have free workshops, learning the online course together, and in exchange they give the right to be published and to be filmed during this processing, because in the morning you're going to work on in the base level of free exchange, and to be equal what I receive, what I give from each participant. And in the morning you work all together, and in the afternoon you make Creators Game, and you work also in a community level. And so it's going to be a beautiful adventure. And
it's an amazing opportunity to face your fears of the camera.
Yeah, man, we need all help for everybody, and let's see these adventures of craziness, security, and respect.
Thank you so much, Angello, for being on the show. There's so many more things that I want to talk with you about, and I have already a few more ideas of other episodes we can do. And the depth of this work is so deep that it demands like multiple steps of explaining.
Crazy and security and respect all at the same time. So thank you so much for this podcast. I was very happy to reveal more and more myself in front of the public. Thank you to allow your image to be published everywhere in the world and to promote this Creators Game. Thank you so much.
7 years ago, beneath Italian skies, at a rainbow gathering where dreams align, met a soul so rare, a spark divine, Angello, the channeler of space and time. From past lives to the echoes of the heart, clearing shadows, a cosmic art. On a spaceship, we soar so high, finding freedom, learning to fly. imperfections help us grow. In your space, acceptance reigns. Through the struggle, we break the chains. Angello, your mission here is clear: to hold the space and to solve the fear. With every soul, the love you impart, a constellation born in the human heart. Oh, Angello, guide of the universe.